Guys, have you ever wondered why you see the Mercedes GLB like everywhere all the time? Well, duh, it's because it's been the best-selling Mercedes here in Singapore. And that means that this new one has really big shoes to fill. So stick around, watch this video. I'm going to show you what the new GLB is like inside. I'm going to size up the third row. I'm going to get all touchy-feely with the booty. And then you can help me decide if Mercedes has another bestseller on its hands. But of course, it does help that you can tell straight away that this is a new one, right? Let me just drive into this tunnel here so you can see what I mean. Oh yeah, check out that light bar. Check out that constellation of 3 pointed stars on the grille there. So very fancy, so very posh. And you know what? Let's be honest with ourselves for a second. That 3 pointed star is why the GLB has been so successful in Singapore, why it's such an object of desire. First off, I should start by saying that there are two versions of the new GLB available for sale in Singapore right now. Both are pure electric, both are single motor rear-wheel drive. There are two petrol-electric hybrids on the way, but for now, the range kicks off with the GLB 200 Electric Progressive, and that costs $290,888 with a category ACOE. And then there is this, the flagship for now. This is the mighty GLB 250 Plus Electric AMG Line Sport. And it is early August as I film this. This one lists for $325,888 with a category BCOE. Now that is a lot to pay for what is supposed to be a compact crossover, and certainly I'm struggling to think of another EV that's this size that costs this much. So does Mercedes actually have another blockbuster on its hands, or is Mercedes screwed? Onto the front of the new GLB is this closed panel over here with the lovely illuminated 3-pointed stars that we looked at earlier, and to my eyes that's pretty nice. And there is a light bar that stretches across the width of the face as well, and that's something you'll see on the new AMG GT 4-door as well as the new CLA. Now the CLA and this car are actually closed platform siblings. They're both built on the new Mercedes modular architecture. And I'm sure you've noticed this 3-pointed star over here illuminated in the headlights. That, I should point out, is optional. It's part of the LED multi-beam package, yours for $2,400. Now this car is black, so I think that downplays the light bar somewhat, but here's how it would look in a different color that allows you to see it more easily, as well as the front bumper insert that you get with the AMG Line Sport kit. But what do we think of the new light bar, guys? I think it's going to be a new Mercedes thing that you're going to see more and more often. Good decision? Or is it something they need to roll back? Here, more 3-pointed stars, 5 of them in total, 4 of them illuminated. Every car gets these, but I want to point out that this continuous beam of light across the back of the car is something you only get with that optional multi-beam LED package. In another car, there would be an interruption sort of there, and then you get 2 separate tail lights. No big deal, but hey, if you're going to spend extra money on your car, what's the point if no one can see it, right? Now this bit here is way different from before, right? Like, it is more geometric and it's much more vertically oriented than before. Or you get 19-inch sporty wheels with the AMG line and pop-out door handles. Now, some people like them, but I definitely do not. This is not a Mercedes-only sin, but I think it takes something simple and then complicates it needlessly. But the whole point of this is that it is a bigger car than before. It is longer than the previous GLB, and it has much longer wheelbase as well. It is a little bit wider than before, and it's about an inch taller as well. And the whole point of all that extra size, of course, is so that you have extra room inside the car. And you know, this is supposed to be one of the babies of the Mercedes family, but they just grow up so fast. So I have brought you to the top of a multi-story car park because, well, it is a freaking hot day today, but also because it is a better way to show you the interior. Because when I climb aboard and everything is in the shade, well, have a look at what happens. This slick black surface comes alive and I'm greeted with a whole constellation of stars now. How fancy is that? I do want to draw your attention to some physical or analog things as well. For example, well, look at these aircon vents. It's very sad that I have to praise them, but I like how you still aim them with your hands. That's very good. You think they might be a little bit low down here, but there's another vent up here which kind of adds to the airflow, so that's really nice. A row of haptic or touch sensitive buttons like before, so that's something that's very, very Mercedes. But I've noticed something else, the return of some physical controls. One is for the cruise control speed and one is for the sound system. Don't know if you remember, but before this there was this touch sensitive like slidey one, and it was very annoying to use because it's not precise, and also you would brush it and change the volume of your music. So yeah, this physical volume, or as they say in Germany, wolume control, is much, much better. So let me take you on a tour of my spaceship now. This is very digital, and that means, of course, it's going to be very customizable. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to just swipe through and look for ambient styles, and I actually have 10 like skins to choose from. So this is the basic sort of classic Mercedes one. I'm going to do AMG line, and you can see how everything from here to here kind of looks a little bit more racy. So something like asphalt track, I don't even know what that is. Colorful clouds, you want to drive through colorful clouds, well, you can do that with chemicals, or I guess you could do that digitally. But let me just go back to the classic stuff because I'm a classic kind of guy. And obviously this is customizable in terms of its controls as well. So you've got this bar over here where you can add or delete certain things. So let me just add something called AW dials. And I'm going to add it here because I'm going to use it every day, because this is actually a podcast app. So yeah, it's going to give me direct access to the stuff that I like to listen to. So yeah, that was the Business Times podcast, and obviously if I listen to that a little bit more often, probably be able to afford one of these a little bit better. There is a button here that takes you to the chairs. Why is that important? Because, well, this car comes with a massage chair. So yeah, it's only a few taps away. So yeah, that's actually, oh yeah, quite a nice place to put that. Now, if you're wondering about this is the AMG line. So you've got these sort of sports car-like seats, right? And this material is not leather, it is man-made leather. It's called Artico. It looks good, and actually it feels relatively soft. This is leather though. Some poor animal died for this. It's Napa leather, but I think it was kind of worth it because it actually is very, very nice to hold. Now, this is going to be a family car, so storage is important. So let me just show you, of course, between the front seats, I've got a fairly deep compartment. I bet you never saw that coming. A couple of cup holders, of course, but look at that. If that's going to annoy you, you've got the whole electric car thing where you've got storage underneath here with a handy strap, so that doesn't move around too much. I also see two USB-C charging ports here. They're going to come in handy because you only have one wireless charging pad for your phone. Only one. I mean, lots of cars half this price offer two, so yeah, another one would have been nice. I guess a lot of the space has gone to this area over here. Oh, and if you're wondering about this, now this is called matte white natural lines, natural fibers silent trim. Silent lines. Matte white natural fiber silent lines trim. And it's something that I guess kind of looks interesting, but it's not really silent because this is what it sounds like. So yeah, this car does not scream luxury or even premium, but I would say that it actually does feel pretty solidly built. Like, let me just try and break something off here. No, that is not budging, and this is solid as well, and it doesn't creak. So yeah, actually build quality is pretty nice. And if you're wondering what else you get with your AMG line, well, sport seats, this, you get 2-zone climate control, so that is very handy in case you and your better half like different temperatures. So that's good for marital bliss, but I'm sure you've noticed this bad boy over here. So you've got 14 inches here and 14 inches here. This MBUX Super Screen arrangement gives the passenger over here their own screen with their own entertainment. So yeah, this person here could watch Disney Plus, as they say in France, or YouTube. And it's really tricky because when I'm driving, this actually blanks out for me and I can't see what's on the screen, but the person here still can. All this digital real estate is either a plus for you or just a distraction. But I gotta say that it really does complete, I would say, this dashboard. So the GLB 200 only has this area over here. But I think that how you feel about all this digital real estate is really gonna depend on how old you are. So let's say you're at 0 years old and then 100 years old over here. Oh man, I can't make it to 100. Okay, 100 over here. I am somewhere in between, so I'm actually ambivalent about all the screens, but I think the closer you are to youth, the more you would like it, and the closer you are to here, the less you're gonna like it. By the way, if you are finding this video remotely helpful or entertaining, please consider subscribing. That would really help us out. And if you want to take this for a test drive or some other new car for a spin in Singapore, well then drop me a message at the WhatsApp link below. One-click test drives, that's sort of what I do, and that's my attempt to be useful to society. Okay, so have a look at how much space I have back here. I'm not short on knee room by any means. This is how I would normally sit. I've adjusted this seat to suit me. I'm 1.75 meters tall. And look at this, I've got no shortage of headroom either. Now that's no surprise because this GLB is actually something like 6 centimeters longer in the wheelbase than the previous one. So no wonder I have so much room back here. But let me explore other areas of the car. So I think in terms of the ambience, I'm going to say that it looks like they've tried a little bit harder this time. So I've got nice, relatively soft and posh plastics over here. A bit more of that matte white natural fibrous standard line. Ambient light you can't really see, but you know what? Your friends, when they see a new Mercedes, they're probably going to get a ride home in the back here. And I think they will be reasonably impressed. I will say that they have kind of skimped on some materials here and there, so there are some hard plastics if you know where to look down here as well. But overall, you can sense the effort and it does feel a bit nicer than the previous one. I do have all important aircon vents down here. There's only 2 small ones, but they've been blowing this whole time and I'm very grateful for them. And this is one of the reasons I love electric vehicles, because you're legally allowed to have the aircon blowing even though you're not going anywhere. So yes, I love those. For longer drives, I do have a couple of USB-C charging ports down there as well. So yeah, that's gonna suit me just fine. Bit of storage space down here. I guess I could keep a bag of peanuts down there or something, but I do have door pockets that are surprisingly deep because behold, I bet you didn't think I had such a big bottle down there. And I can fold this down and not only have an armrest, but I would have somewhere for this as well. I put that there. If you're wondering about this slot over here, well, that would be a space for a mobile phone or broken mobile phone, as the case might be. And you can see that there's space for 2 of them over there. So yeah, I would be pretty well accommodated back here. And it's also quite a versatile space. So if I need to give a little bit of room to the person behind me, or I want to carry a little bit more stuff around, I can do this. And yeah, this is as far as it goes, all the way forward, but I think I'm still feeling okay in terms of space. There's also a little strap I can pull back here, and that would allow me to adjust this. I don't see why I would want to sit like this at all, but that would allow me to carry more luggage or give a bit more knee room to the person behind me. But overall, I think you can see that this space is pretty well thought out, and at the end of the day, a GLB is a family car, and this is where it really feels like it. Whoa, just look at how much space I have back here. You're talking about 1,605 liters. It's like a small cave in here. Hello! And you certainly get more room than, say, the BMW iX1, which has 1,495 liters. Of course, that is if you don't want to carry anyone around except for your better half. So let me just put this up. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've been working out. And if I do that, then I'm left with 480 liters. But you know, beyond raw numbers, you have to look at the kind of space you have. So I've got a nice flat floor. I do have no lip over here, so I can just slide things in and out. I've got handy dandy features like this hook over here for groceries. I've got a 12-volt charging outlet, eyes for hooking stuff and all that. Oh, and I even have room for a little luggage cover underneath here. So it's got its own compartment, and I can stow it out of the way if I need, or if I want, I can put it back up there, and I can hide my stuff from prying eyes. So yeah, 480 may not sound like a whole lot, but I think this is a pretty useful space. It's well shaped as well, so let's have a look at a shopping bag over here, and you can see that this is pretty darn big, guys. And I'm just gonna see if it fits or how well it fits back here. So yeah, if I were to lay it flat like that, I think I've got room for 2 of these at least, so because that only covers 1 seat over there. And if I were to stand it upright, then yeah, I would have room for at least 3 of them. So yeah, that is good for a pretty good day out at an outlet shopping mall. But what happens if you want to carry 7 people as well as a little bit of luggage? Well, let's find out, and let me show you while I'm at it what it's like to raise these seats. So that's locked down now, so I just unlock it with this, and then I pull it straight out with this strap over here. That's not too bad, right? And I'll do the same over here. And yeah, that needed very little muscle power because it's sprung, but you do know that if this were a Chinese car, then it would be electric and all you have to do is press the button, right? But okay, back to the matter at hand. Uh-oh, yeah, that's not gonna work. And certainly that's not going to work. So yeah, as you can see, you don't actually have a huge amount of luggage space with these two seats up. But hey, you know what? You could always fold one of them down, the red strap, and you could put this in, I would say, fairly easily. You might even have room for two of them, and you can still at least carry 6 people around. Now that you know how much can go into the boot, let's talk about putting electrons into the car. Now the GLBs both have 22 kilowatt onboard AC chargers, and that allows the 250 to go from 0 to 100 in about 4.5 hours. But if you're in a hurry and you want to use this DC bad boy over here, well, this car has an 800 volt architecture, and that allows it to take in DC charging at 320 kilowatts, and that's fast enough for 3C charging, so from 10 to 80% in about 22 minutes. So yeah, all this 800 volt stuff, I really like that. And that brings me very handily to 3 things I like about the GLB 250 Plus Electric. Okay guys, the first thing I really like about this car is that the navigation is powered by Google, and that adds a lot of useful functionality. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to use my voice. Hey Mercedes.
I'm listening.
I feel like having some nasi lemak.
I discovered long nasi lemak, which is open now and has a rating of 4.8. According to reviews, it offers delicious nasi lemak with crispy chicken wings and fragrant rice, making it a great value for money. Would you like to go there?
Show me the reviews.
According to reviews, long nasi lemak offers a delicious nasi lemak with lovely shaded tables for a quick meal. The chicken wings are extremely crispy and tasty, and the rice is fluffy and fragrant. It seems like a great place to enjoy a meal. Would you like to go there?
Cancel. So, as you can see, those are Google reviews, and that is much more useful than just getting you from A to B. It can actually suggest places and show you reviews, see what other people think. But I think there is one major flaw with this. Everyone knows the only nasi lemak worth eating is in Malaysia. So the second thing I really like about this car is something called MB Charge Public. Now that works with the Mercedes-Benz app, which I would have if I had a Mercedes-Benz, but well, here's a screen grab, and that app lets you do all kinds of things with your car. You could pre-cool the cabin before you step in, you can check your range, you can book servicing, all that good stuff. But MB Charge Public comes in handy when you want to pop this bad boy open and make use of this charging port over here. What it does is it helps you to find a charging location. It lets you know how many of those charging guns are available, how fast they are, and it will even estimate how much it's going to cost to fill up your Mercedes. So let's say you find a charging spot, you can use the app to initiate the charging and then monitor how your charging is going. And just through this app, you have access to, well, 4 major charging networks in Singapore. That would be CDG, Charge Plus, SP Group, and Volt, and there are more along the way. They are also working on adding cross-border functionality. So yeah, you'll be able to charge in Malaysia as well. And as it stands, I have access to more than 7,000 charging points, and I can do it through one app that I already use, and I have only one bill to pay. The third thing I really like about the GLB is, well, like any real electric car, it has a frunk. And it's a pretty big one as well. Come have a closer look. It is 127 liters, and it's so deep and so wide. Let me just show you. I can actually get a whole chair in there. And this is collapsible, of course, but I don't have to bother because look, I can get this in and I can close this no problem. So yeah, I do like that. But doing that has reminded me about something I don't like, and that brings me very handily to 3 things I don't like about the Mercedes GLB 250 Plus Electric. Okay, the first thing I don't like, guys, well, the frunk is undoubtedly useful. To open it up, you've got to reach under here and do this twice. So that's not the best thing, because imagine if you've got a wife with her arms full of groceries and she needs you to unlock that. Well, it'd be better if you could do it from the screen or maybe from the key, but having to come around, open up the door and do this, well, that's going to try her patience. The second thing I don't like about the GLB is that, well, it kind of feels built down to a cost in certain areas. For example, if I want to operate this rear window, I've got to reach down here and press rear, and then I can work the switch. And you know, it doesn't feel sophisticated, it doesn't feel futuristic, it just feels like Mercedes tried to save a few euros by removing a couple of buttons. And let me show you what else I mean. Like, there's a little cover here for the luggage cover, and look at this. I mean, it looks like it's made out of paper, and I could destroy it with my bare hands. But then of course, even though it feels cheap, I'm sure that having to replace it for Mercedes will reveal how expensive it really is. But honestly, I come from an era like in the 80s when Mercedeses felt like they were made out of granite. But look at this. Wouldn't be able to do this with an 80s Mercedes part. I'd probably do myself an injury. What's that hollow sound? Okay, the third thing I don't like about this car, guys, is that there is no shade for this glass roof over here, like no roller blind or anything like that. And I always complain about this because, well, we have some really scorching days in Singapore. Now this has a heat rejection coating and they all say that, but I gotta say this one actually seems to work pretty well. Sometimes the glass itself gets warm and then it radiates heat into your scalp. This one is pretty warm, but okay, I think there's enough distance there, not feeling too hot. But when the sun is overhead like this, well, then it can get pretty glaring sometimes. So I'm kind of feeling like I'm almost in an old Sergio Leone film right now. Yeah, that's much better. But what I hear is that Mercedes is working on an option for electrochromic glass. So you just tap the screen and then it goes opaque. So yeah, if you get the chance to option that, you totally should. Okay, ordinarily I would be dreading this next test because I'm about to check out the third row here and it looks kind of tiny back there, but today I actually have help from a tiny person. This is my colleague Ashley and she's gonna check out the third row so I don't have to. So Ashley, if you can kindly assume the position. Yeah, it's just like a hatchback, right? It's not too hard. You just tip that forward, climb in, and let me just join you here. I'll push this back in and slip into the back seat with you, and I'm sure you're nice and cozy, right?
Too nice and cozy.
Too nice and cozy,
But
what does
I
that
could
mean?
do with some room.
Okay, well, tell me about it. Like, your headroom looks fine.
Yeah, because I'm small.
Okay.
But my knees are really backed up on the seat.
Okay, how about your feet? Do they have space?
They can wiggle.
Okay.
But I'm squished.
Okay, I can give you a little bit more room actually. So, in fact, I can actually push back a little bit more.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
You must be joking.
We're gonna need a doctor soon. How about this? Is this okay?
Oh, much better.
Okay, this is maximum, by the way. So it is adjustable. So if the people in front like you, then you're fine.
Yeah. However, it's really getting hot in here.
I have the aircon going for you. This second row is actually quite nice.
I don't see any aircon vents.
Yeah, you're right. There's no aircon vents.
So no, I'm definitely not feeling it.
Okay.
There isn't any USB chargers.
No USB chargers, you're right. I could charge your phone for you if you want. I mean, just hand it to me.
Thank you. I do have two cup holders here.
Cup holders, okay.
I have a little something here to put, I don't know, a handphone.
Yeah, okay.
Or some candies on a long drive.
Okay, would you do a long drive in this though?
Probably not. Why don't you try it for yourself?
Me? Go back there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if you insist, I will come and join you from over
Make
here.
some room.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just gonna fold this and oh, okay, it's different from that side. It doesn't have the whole hatchback thing where you push it forward and okay, it's already max forward.
Yep.
But okay, yeah, I guess this is set up for Europe and Germany where the steering wheel is on the wrong side of the car. The curb would be like over there, but for us the curb is over here. So that's wrong. Let me just try and get in as gracefully as I can here. I'm gonna close this as well. And oh, you know what? I don't have to raise this to know that I'm not gonna have much room back here. Let's see, okay. I see exactly what you mean. Let's remind everyone, like, how tall are you again?
I'm 156.
156. Okay, so you fit just fine, but I am 175. I'm a fully grown adult. And let's see how okay. Okay, so yeah, a little bit of a headroom problem back here. I don't think this is meant for me. And yeah, you're right, it's not meant for long journeys. Not really getting much aircon. And that's with the seats down here. Like, I guess you would feel a little bit trapped right here.
Definitely, and I think it's going to be worse if the headrest was up.
Yeah.
Because I really wouldn't be able to see past anything.
Right, okay. I tell you what though, it does feel like these seats are a little bit better than before. Do you remember the last GLB? It had like really quite hard and thin seats.
It's definitely more padded.
Yeah.
So I guess comfier.
Okay.
On the ass.
A little bit of improvement.
That's right.
A little bit of room for improvement. But I would say, I guess this is not a 7-seater. It's more like a 5+2.
Yes.
Okay.
for emergencies.
Emergency use, yeah, like, oh man, we have a lunch emergency, let's go grab lunch, yeah. So, okay, I think that if you wanted a 7-seat SUV, there are much bigger choices out there. Maybe the Kia Sorento or the Hyundai Santa Fe.
Yeah, but those are hybrid.
Those are hybrid, yeah. So, Ioniq 9, Kia EV9, that's a bit more expensive. There is the Tesla Model YL.
Definitely.
That is a 6-seater.
Yep. We drove it recently.
We did drive it recently, and it was actually better in the back, I would say.
Yeah.
But you can't fit 7 on board. I would say I have mixed feelings about this car, right? Because it's got versatility. So let's say I had a family outing, it would allow my mother-in-law to come along, for example. So it's not great, but I get to put my mother-in-law back here, which is great.
I'm sure you wouldn't want her to hear that.
Oh, okay, traffic light Grand Prix, traffic light Grand Prix. Okay, my right foot is twitching. Check out the competition here. I'm ready to go any moment now, and it's 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, my foot is on the floor. The kick down is activated, but my license is not begging for its life somehow. Nanikore, this car just doesn't feel very fast. I mean, on paper it's pretty quick. It has 272 horsepower, 335 newton meters of torque, and it weighs 2.1 tons, and 0 to 100 7.4 seconds, which is actually decently quick. But yeah, it actually, well, I don't want to call it slow, but the acceleration is pretty gentle. Or let's say this car is stately, dignified. Kind of reminds me of a really old car from the 80s, let's say, with a big engine, lots of torque, but it only has a 3-speed transmission, so the torque is doled out gently. It's like spooned like honey, and it's not like sort of sprayed in your face like some other kind of honey. Oh, and by the way, this car does have a 2-speed auto. It's got a transmission, so a lower gear for better acceleration, a higher gear for more efficiency, but yeah, it just doesn't feel very fast. I tell you what though, if you want to add a little bit of excitement and sensation, there is sound experience. Let me show you. That gives you access to 6 different sound programs with weird names like Fractal Fusion or Granular Fuzz. What's that? Let's try that. No. Let's see what Vivid Flux sounds like. Okay. Okay, I guess that passes for excitement, but you know what? I'm gonna switch that off. And yeah, that's much better. And I'm actually gonna switch this car back to comfort mode. I was already in the sport mode for my Grand Prix because, well, comfort is what this car does well. I mean, the suspension is pretty well set up. I've driven a lot of EVs that are either very stiffly sprung because they're heavy, or they're softly sprung and very wafty, but this one strikes a nice balance in between. You do feel the bigger undulations, but the really small bumps from uneven surfaces, they're dealt with really well by the suspension. And you know, if I were to tell you that a certain car kind of feels like a BMW to drive and another car feels like a Mercedes to drive, you would kind of know what I mean, right? And this car feels very much like a Mercedes. So how far can you go in one of these? Well, the claimed range is 674 kilometers WLTP, and that is a heck of a lot further than the GLB 200, which has a smaller battery. The claim for that car is 453 kilometers, so the difference is 121 kilometers, which means that in this car you could probably drive for another 2 or 3 days before you have to stop and charge versus that car. But okay, all that is theory. What about the real world? Well, I have done 131 kilometers so far, and according to the trip computer, I still have 441 kilometers to go. So that is a predicted range of what, 572 kilometers. And yeah, I think that is actually pretty good in the real world. I mean, this car doesn't have a huge battery, right? So I think it's impressively efficient. And you know what that means? Kuala Lumpur Nasi Lemak, here I come. Okay, Tesla fans, if you are wondering if the Mercedes has one-pedal driving, the answer is yes, it does. I have these flappy paddles that allow me to adjust the recuperation or the regenerative braking. So I've got anything from none to, well, mild recuperation and then strong recuperation. Or my favorite is something called intelligent recuperation, because that allows the car to follow the speed of the car ahead of me. If there's no one ahead, and then it just freewheels. If there is someone ahead, it will adjust the gap and keep its distance all the way down to 0 with nothing for me to do. which yeah, I think is pretty nice and lives up to its name. So just a quick word about driver aids for a second, guys. Now this car is not huge and it's actually very easy to see out of, so it's not a stressful car to drive. But if you find parking a challenge, well, this car does have self-parking, and it also has a 360-degree camera. Now, you actually have to subscribe to that, but subscribing year by year actually costs less than buying it outright from the factory. So yeah, if you don't need it because you're manly, then you can save yourself some money, but otherwise I think that's going to save a lot of people some scratched rims. And when you're out on the open road, you have adaptive cruise control as well. Let me show you what that's like. So I just have to set my target speed. I have to set a gap to the car in front. So let's close it up a little bit so that no one sneaks ahead of me. And yeah, the steering is taken over by the car as well. It's going to try and keep itself in lane. And I don't have to do anything with the pedals, which means this car is now doing, say, 80-90% of the driving. And that leaves me to just sit back and relax, like one should in a Mercedes-Benz. And finally, do you know what the president and CEO of Mercedes-Benz Singapore, Marcel Perez, drives? Well, apparently it's a GLB, and you would think it'd be an S-Class, or maybe if times were better, a Mercedes Maybach. But no, Marcel's a good guy, his staff speak really highly of him, and he's obviously a family man. And I'm betting he's going to be upgrading to one of these. But hey, what would you drive if you were the boss of Mercedes in Singapore? Leave a comment, let me know, hit subscribe, and thanks for watching.